According to Merriam-Webster, the definition of influence is the power or capacity to cause and affect in indirect or intangible ways. And honestly, when I first read that definition, I kind of laughed because the phrase indirect or intangible ways almost sounds manipulative, like sneaky, covert, psychological steering. But influence itself is actually neutral. Music influences people. Language influences people. Religion influences people. Parents influence people. Trauma influences people. Advertising influences people. Conversations influence people. And we could go on probably literally all day. So the real question isn't really, are you influencing people? The real question is more like, how? Are you trying to override somebody's autonomy, pressure them emotionally, control them, create dependency, manufacture fear, force conformity, hook them? Or are you simply sharing perspective while allowing people complete freedom to think for themselves? Because obviously, those are not the same thing. And that's why I actually wanted to make this video. Because someone left a comment back when I had comments on, I think they were on for about 2 days. And anyway, it said something along the lines of if you're trying to influence people. And I honestly cannot remember anything after that. I know that I read all of it, but this has been over a month ago, and this has stuck with me. If you're trying to influence people, people hear somebody speaking with conviction and immediately seem to assume that there's an agenda behind it. But I need to make something very clear here. I am not trying to recruit followers, control people, build a belief system, convince people to see the world exactly the way I do. That is not what this channel is. All I'm doing here is sharing information. That's it. I'm talking about things I learned the hard way. Things I wish someone had explained to me 20 years ago. I mean, assuming I had been willing to listen, right? Patterns I had to survive long enough to finally understand. And because I understand them now, I talk about them. That's not manipulation or influence in an influencer way, I guess, to say, but it's contribution. There's a massive difference between here's what I learned, take what helps, and you need to believe me. I need you to follow me. I need to influence you. Those are not the same thing. And I don't need strangers on the internet to agree with me. I don't need validation from people. And I'm not emotionally attached to whether somebody subscribes, unsubscribes, watches, clicks away, disagrees, roll their eyes, or think I'm completely wrong. People are free. That's actually kind of the entire point here. I think some people are just so used to like manipulation that they no longer can tell the difference between coercive styles of influence or information, like manipulation. Wait, I totally got confused on my train of thought, but that doesn't even matter. I mean, I'm human here. And information sharing. If someone says, hey, this stove is hot, I just burned my hand on it. Okay, that's not controlling you or necessarily influencing you in an influencer style way. That's somebody sharing lived experience. You are completely free to touch the stove. And honestly, I think that's why this conversation is important to me, because healthy people do not need to force agreement, and they don't need to overpower your autonomy, and they do not panic when you think differently than they do. Like manipulation, or we're going to call it very subtle influencer style manipulation. I know that's not people's necessarily or their goal necessarily. So I'm not trying to say that either. This is not a blanket general statement here. I'm just trying to make a point here. That needs compliance. That needs a following. That needs people to agree, right? Truth does not. Truth can stand there calmly and let people choose for themselves. And that's how I approach this channel. I'm not here to tell people what to think by any means. Again, it's the opposite. I'm here to offer language, perspective, patterns, observations, things I've noticed after years of living through certain experiences and trying to understand the architecture beneath them. Because when you understand the architecture of something, you can finally see it clearly. And clarity, oh my God, I mean, in my opinion, is everything. And that's totally different from trying to influence or subtly control them. There are plenty of creators online who absolutely are trying to influence people in subtly manipulative ways to emotionally hook them, create dependency, create some kind of outrage, manufacture fear, build little ideological armies around themselves. I'm not interested in any of that. And honestly, another thing that's really funny about this whole idea that I'm supposedly trying to influence people is I don't even have social media. Like, none, not at all. I mean, I don't know if I'm an anomaly at this point, but I am not on Facebook. I am not on Instagram. I am not on TikTok. I am not on Twitter, or I think it's become X now. I'm not really even sure anymore. I'm not trying to build some giant personal brand. I'm not posting selfies ever. Not anywhere. And I'm not trying to become internet famous. I'm literally just here on YouTube, and even here, I'm anonymous. My actual name is not even on this channel. I don't even have the profile picture going on. It's literally just the letter C from the first word of my channel name because that is what YouTube automatically generated. So, if influence and attention and status were supposedly my goal, I am really doing a terrible job of it. Like, seriously. Seriously, right? Because that's not what this is about. Not at all. This channel exists because I have lived through certain things, spent years trying to understand them, and eventually realized that a lot of people are walking around confused by the exact same patterns that I was confused by. So I talk about them, not for followers or control or to have people agree with me, just because sometimes hearing somebody finally put language to something you've been silently experiencing can change your entire life. And I know that from experience because it changed mine. And now that I'm thinking about it, this whole conversation really circles all the way back to the very first video I ever posted on this channel. I think it was like January 27th of this year, of 2026. Because my very first video was literally about language, about how growing up Catholic from the time I was a tiny child, I was taught to say, Lord, I am not worthy to receive you every week, over and over, before I was old enough to even critically think about what those words actually even meant. And then it hit me one day how deeply language really affects people, because in what world is a child inherently unworthy of God? Why would children be taught to repeatedly say that about themselves before they even understand identity, worth, shame, or self-concept? And that realization stayed with me because language is so important. It matters so much more than maybe some people realize. The words people hear repeatedly become internal architecture. They become beliefs, emotional reflexes, they become identity, nervous system responses, everything, right? They become reality. They describe your reality, which is so important and why I harp on clarity so much. Not because I'm trying to influence people like in an influencer style way, but because I know firsthand that language can either imprison people internally or it can help set them free. And I think a lot of people may have spent their entire lives absorbing language that they never consciously agreed to. And maybe a lot is a strong description. Maybe it's just a few, but I know that some have. So maybe part of healing is finally becoming aware of the words shaping the inner world in the first place. And that's all I'm trying to do here is offer perspective, language, and clarity. People can take what helps and leave what doesn't, or take none of it, or take all of it. It's whatever people want to do. That's the whole point. Because that's actual freedom. And that's all that matters.